I believe we're going, or we're starting to go anyway. What we have, what you're looking at here, is the personal book plate for Israel Regardie. And I believe that he sort of took that as a self-portrait, uh, sort of projected on the Golden Dawn triangle and cross. Now this is on the inside of a very rare book. And this is a Falcon. Let's see, a Falcon Press, an old Falcon Press edition, because there was a time when Regardie was battling back and forth with a publisher of great renown over the copyrights and things to his material, especially the Golden Dawn. And for a while, Christopher Hyatt, or Alan Miller, sort of came to his rescue and said, "We'll do the Golden Dawn, your Golden Dawn, and give you the royalties, you know." And along about, and I'm not going to pass judgment over whose rights were whose, but throughout it all, it seemed that Regardie was not getting his due royalties for things, and so there was a time when very late in his life, when he was working with Falcon to actually get his stuff out there in such a way that he got a little cash for. And one of those things was his Gems from the Equinox, which a beautiful, beautiful big edition. As a matter of fact, the edition I first bought was published by Llewellyn, a gorgeous, gorgeous thing. Later on in my career, I guess, when Regardie had just passed away, and I was working with Falcon myself. This was among his effects, and the good folks at Falcon were kind enough to say, if you have a treasured place for this book, you can have it. It's Gems from the Equinox, with a preface by Israel Regardie. There's several editions, Falcon editions of this. One of them even has well, I'm not sure it's this, so I won't mention. But anyway, Gems from the Equinox. Now, nobody back in the day, or very few people back in the day, a few collectors, had the entire 10-volume set of the Equinox. So when this first came out, when Llewellyn first published Gems from the Equinox, it gained quite a bit of excitement from the still very few Crowley aficionados. I tell the story at I think it was called the Prophet Bookstore in Ports of Call, San Pedro area of Los Angeles. It is a beautiful shop, and I went there and I saw this Gems from the Equinox. It was a reasonable price thing, but still more than I could afford, but I bought it anyway. And that's where the woman at the cashier says, "Yeah, you like Crowley, huh?" I said, "Yeah, I like that old beast." And she said, "Well, if you like eating babies." I said, he didn't eat babies. Yes, he did. He ate babies. You like a baby eater. Look, I'm trying to buy a book. I'm trying to give this person money. Okay. And she's just tearing me a new one. And I said, he didn't eat babies. He did. He ate them on that island. Is it Sicily? You talking about Sicily? And she said, no. There's an island off of Italy. And I said, just give me the book. Okay. Anyway, there is something along the lines because I was kind of just I'm not a book collector. Okay, this is probably one of my treasures, and only because I was gifted it. Uh, but there's quite a few things in Gems of the Equinox that are a good collection of the magical and mystical things from the Equinox series. But there's also the reviews, and there's a whole huge section which is found in the 10 volume set or the 10, yeah, um, of Blavatsky's The Voice of the Silence. Well, that's wonderful and it's really good, and Crowley really liked it. That's why he put it in the original 10 numbered set. But it's not Crowley. And if you're going to spend a bunch of money on gems from the Equinox, there's plenty of Crowley that he could have put in. And so I don't know what the logic was behind that. But briefly, because we've been talking about tarot, and I've been going through the tarot sequence, there is a curious little, like one page book, literally, and it's a Class B document. So Crowley didn't channel it or anything like that. It was, his own scholarship. And it's called Liber VIARVM VIAE. Okay, and it's just simply this. There's 22 Hebrew letters and one or two little lines, and beside the line is a reference to a book. Now, if you're familiar with a diagram, it's called the slopes of Abiegnos. I wish I had one that I could show you right now. It's just the bottom section of the tree of life, going from 10 to 6. And along each path is, each of the Sephiroth, or the circles, represent an AA grade, like, probationer, neophyte, Saladar, Philosophus. And what what magical chores or what magical condition you're in at that one stage, and what magical powers that would entail. And so as you go up, there's the divinatory skill and the body of light, and it's a very practical roadmap thing. And it is reflected on technical magical material that Crowley wrote. So Liber, memorize Liber this here, or the mastery of Liber that there, okay? And this is sort of an earlier sketchy version of that. Now there's 22, I'm going to show you here. There's 22 lines, see, going starting at the bottom 0 to 21, just the way the tarot trumps are numbered. And there's things running along the side there. Now, there's a classic Kabbalistic diagram, and I always used to make fun of the idea that you're counting the nostril hairs of God in the Kabbalah. Well, it's like they show a picture of a bearded God, okay, and the macro prosopis and all of these landmarks of Kabbalah and landmarks of consciousness, all Kabbalistically named and everything, are hairs or tresses coming from the mustache, 13 of this and 16 of that. Okay. In a way, this is sort of that. The 9 locks of the inferior beard, that's the lower on the, okay, and there's 13 locks of the superior beard. So so the inferior beard are would be the Hebrew letters and tarot trumps that would go from 13, death, to 21, the universe, and the 13 locks of the superior beard would go from the fool all the way to the hanged man. Okay, and the Hebrew letters that go with that. But here is the order that he has placed this without commentary or anything else. Okay, he starts with Tav, which, as I was reviewing this years and years later, got my attention, because that whole thing about that cube of space starts with the Tav in the middle and grows out. But this is a different way of looking at that. So I'm just going to share that with you right now. I'm using the weight deck, which is probably the closer to what Crowley was thinking about and working on here. So starting with Tav, the formulation of the body of light. And he refers to Liber O, which is various magical instructions, very basic. The formation of the body of light. The passage of the king's chamber. That's Rasheen. References Liber HHH. All of this found in magic and Therium practice. Resh, the illumination of the sphere. Kuf, the divining of destiny. Liber Memoriam Viae. Tzadi, the adoration under the starry heaven. Refers to Liber 11, Liber Nu. These are the 9 locks of the inferior beard. Pe, the destruction of the house of God. Liber 16. Oyen, the Sabbath of the Adepts. Liber 370. Scrine in the Spirit Vision. The Ladder of Jacob. And he refers to Liber O. And finally, the last of the 9 locks of the inferior beard. The preparation of the corpse for the tomb. Liber 25. Now for the 13 locks of the superior beard. And if we're thinking about it, we're moving on up that tree of life if we're using that as our roadmap. Mem. The sleep of Shalom. This is the order that they had it there. Tet. The protection of the sphere. Kaf. The evocation of the mighty ones. And this is tantalizing because he just references Liber ... The evocation of the mighty ones. Yod. The absorption of the emanations. Liber 811. The absorption. This is Yod. The absorption of the emanations. Now, the Sephiroth are called emanations. The absorption. And that Yod is the primary Hebrew letter, number 10, means the hand. In a sense, the absorption of it all. Just like when you blow on a little candle flame, the still flame is a Yod, but when you breathe upon it, it flickers and turns into all the other Hebrew letters. But I digress. Lamed. The passing of the hall of the balances. Liber 30. Chet. Or hate, actually, might be pronounced. The ritual of the Holy Grail. Liber 156. Zion. The utterance of the Pythoness. Wow. Vav. Now we're getting into the three below the M here. Magus. Okay. The forthcoming of the Hierophant. Liber 8. Now, Liber 8 is the eighth aether of the vision and the voice, where it gets right down to the nitty-gritty of the invocation of the Holy Guardian Angel. I mean, even after 5 equals 6. Okay. Hey, the formulation of the flaming star. Liber 5. That's a ritual, pentagram ritual, vel regula. Okay. Daleth, incarnation of the inmost light, or Liber Had. Gimel, the supreme ecstasy of purity. Liber 73. Bet, the universal affirmations and denials. Liber B, which is Vel Magi. He's he's a Roman numeral 1, but Bet is number 2. In a sense, number 2 kicks off at least the pre-echo of what will be duality. So he's the universal affirmations and denials. But Aleph, the fool, transcending all of these, yea, the transcending of all of these. 7 inferiors, 7 superiors, 7 above all, and 7 interpretations of every word. Now, even though this is a Class B document, it's right up there with how do we start a discussion on this? And mercifully, we won't start a discussion on that. Today, I just wanted to introduce you to this remarkable little one-page thing that you could use to jumpstart meditations on your 22 trumps of whatever tarot deck that you currently use as your tool. Hey, that's it. That's it for today. We're going to have to jump in Carla and do some strange shopping before it gets too hot. We've got to shop for my trip to Notacon. I'm going to go to Portland. Anyway, until tomorrow, continue to be good to yourself and be good to each other. Do what thou wilt, shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law, love under will.